Dear teacher, hello, my name is Daniel Eduardo Aguayo Yepes, and today I'm going to explain about plagiarism, which is very big and complex topic, right? So I'm going to try to take like 7 or 10 minutes to explain some parts of this very big topic. Mm, But first, I would like to give you or present my ID, which is just right here, as you may see, to see that I am the same person, right? So here you have my name, again, Daniel Eduardo Aguayo Yepes, and now we're going to begin with the explanation. So the first point that I'm going to make is, what is plagiarism? Well, you know, plagiarism is a very important topic in academics, as you may know. It's very, very important. We are always thinking about how to make important decisions in terms of how we can present our works and in assignments and essays in every single institution, obviously educational institution mostly, right? So the first point that I want to take to explain plagiarism is the inappropriate practice that it is. Yeah, of course, it is considered something wrong because um, it has to do with taking, information, ideas. It could be words, it could be works, sometimes partially or completely from other people and presenting as if they were your one uh, work or effort, so that is complicated because you're not only taking, the words, you're taking the thought from other people without giving them a proper citation, proper credit from the source, from the original author or the original source. So that is a very big problem. That is why plagiarism is something, let's say, bad, especially in the academia, right? So as I said, there is no referencing. If you do wrongly, you can do referencing or acknowledgement, but sometimes if it is wrong, then you also can be in plagiarism. And this plagiarism happens. It could be consciously or sometimes unconsciously, and it happens when you take sources from a variety of documents. It could be digital, it could be printed, it could be something that you see in a video, in a movie. It could be also from any podcast or something like that. So we're going to see many varieties and types of the plagiarism, which we have at least 8, but we're going to see that in the future, just right now. Okay, so that is what I have to say about plagiarism. You know, and but the main idea is just like that, to take words or ideas from other people and make as if they were your own ideas. That is not true. That is something unreal. That is something unfair, and that is why plagiarism is very important in academia, of course. Just to say that. Okay, so here I have some, two areas that I would like to talk about, and the first is what is important uh, issue of learning or being aware of plagiarism. And in my opinion, I think that if we know actually how to properly cite, how to properly paraphrase, how not to commit plagiarism, then we're going to have a correct behavior, especially in academia, which is, very high, uh, let's say, very high demand. We have very high demand of ethics, especially in an institution, because institutions have to create knowledge and also publish knowledge, but you have to be very respectful. You have to you have to have respect for the original author. So if you don't do that, you're doing very big mistake in the university or in the academy, especially. And in my opinion, I also think that if we are very aware of plagiarism, then we're going to have a different culture, because we want to know the truth. And if we want to know the truth, then we're always going to see who said something. So in my opinion, I think that another benefit of knowing plagiarism is that we're going to have a different culture. You're not going to say, hey, hey, someone said this because this or that, or I'm saying this because because I am thinking something. But if I say something by proving or showing some evidence, then that could be, solid solid discourse. That could be a solid speech, because I have arguments, and maybe I might have some statistics or some documents, that support my idea. So if I am in front of people, then I'm going to talk. I'm going to say, hey, I'm saying this because of this, because of that, and that is showing also evidence, that I'm not saying because of me, but I'm saying because someone else proved something, you know, and then I'm saying this because I have this and that. Then we're going to talk about the effects, which are currently now, like the consequences. What happens if I'm going to do the plagiarism? So there are many things. Let's go with the first one, which has to do with journals. Actually, journals, as you may know, has have to do with publications. After you have done some research, then they are going to take your work, then they are going to publish, because they have volumes, and they have, you know all the framework that they collect information from many places around the world, and they publish. So if you, as a researcher, probably as a professor, you commit this, then they are going to know that you're not like a very good scientist. You're taking information from other people, you're not citing correctly. Then of course your reputation is going to be down. It's going to not going to be good for you. So journals obviously are going to remember your name because you are not a correct scientist in terms of the work that you are doing, right? So it also can happen many things, actually. In maybe the university, it has to do with disciplinary issues. I mean, if you commit that, and then the staff, the administrative staff, probably they know what you have done, then they are not going to trust in you. They are not going to give you the money maybe for your research, because you're failing. You can be fired actually from the institutions also, no, right? And like that, because it is a kind of violation, right, of the, as I put here, the the copyright law. Okay. Depending on the institutions, I mean, some institutions have their own rules, so they say, hey, if you commit plagiarism, then you're not going to be anymore in this class, or maybe you fail this cycle and the next cycle, but you can be admitted after that. So it depends on the rules that each educational institution has. So like that. But in general, there are negative effects, of course, doing the plagiarism. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the types of plagiarism. Actually, in my research, what I have found is that we do have more than eight. In some parts of the internet, I have found that I have like 10 types of plagiarism. So here we have eight, the most common. And as you may see, the first one is called a complete plagiarism. And it happens, it is, very, as the name says, it's complete because it is just a copy paste of information. And it happens usually when you have homework assignments and something like that. Maybe if you're writing a book also, it can happen that you take information from another source or the original source, as you may see here. So I have put here the example. You see, let's say that you're writing, and in this case, you're doing this one, this example, as you may see. And here, what is the difference between the original, which is in the left, which is here, and here? That in the left, you have the proper citation. I mean, you're giving credit to the source, but in this part, you don't have. As you may see, you miss this part, but you're taking very long part of texts and putting in your work. So that is a very big problem, you know. And that would be the example for the complete type of plagiarism. But I have another one, which is just right here. In this part, as you may see, um, there is no citation, there is no reference, there is nothing at all. So this is the original part, you see. And this is the one that you are presenting. And as you may see, all which is in red here in the new one is just copy paste from this one. It's just copy paste, as you may see. It's first discovery, blah, 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 as first discovery, as you may see. And here is the same thing. Just very few parts that you're actually changing almost anything. You're not changing here. As you may see, very few parts like this one, or this one. But in general, there is a very big amount, I would say, of text that you're taking and just presenting like copy paste. So that is a very big mistake. Let's go to the second one, which is self or auto type of plagiarism. And there's another word also for this type, which is the recycle plagiarism. And why it takes that name? Just because an author has already done something, uh, experiments and research and data and information, and sometimes they have already published or unpublished, and they take the same work or the same, it could be not only text but data, as I said, and they present as if they were new. Then it could be, as I put here, is partially or not, could be uh, depending of the amount, could be differently, it could be like only parts or completely. I mean, it depends. So here you see the example. Here is the original, just right here one, and here is the new one, you know. And yeah, this is the same author, but the same author is taking information from the previous work. And as you see this color, all this is taken from the previous one. And in this example also, there is a lack of citation. Mm, the author is not giving credit. Yeah, because he's assuming that it is not necessary to do that, right? Here we have another type, which is collusion. And yeah, in the collusion, it's I would say very common probably, and it happens especially when a teacher gives an assignment, especially in order to do essays. So what happens is that the teacher gives the topic, for the essay, and the students go and do by their own, right? But sometimes when they come back with the assignments, with the essays, then the teacher starts to check. And when the teacher checks, then he's going to see that student A and student B probably has the same ideas, you know. And the thing here, and the key issue here in this type of plagiarism is that they probably have different structure and different how can I say development of the whole writing in their essays, you know, between student A and B. uh, that's okay, but the most important issue here is that they they do have the same ideas, because as you may know, within an essay you have main ideas. So the next one is cloning. We do have cloning is almost the same like the copy paste, but the difference is that here in this case, the student can and cannot present references. That's okay, but the main difference is that the person is taking is just changing the name. He's putting or she's putting her name or his name instead of the original one. And in this case, I have put here my own work, as you may see, but as probably another person is going to put his or her name instead of my name. And in this case, yes, she or he can present my work with a reference. But I have another example, where you can see no citation and no quotation marks at all. But what you can see is just like a copy paste, as you may see. Just the whole uh, pink area is just showing you a copy paste, as you may see. Yes. So there's a copy paste. And well, in the mosaic type, yeah, of course, as you may see in the example, you have, the whole text. And within the text, you're going to find pieces of information or parts of information. So these parts of information come from different resources, actually. Okay. And these parts of information are just copy paste information. But the thing here is that, as you may see, right? I'm going to show you later, but the characteristic here is that they use, transition words like however, additionally, furthermore, uh, and so on, in order to produce a kind of coherence. Yeah, kind of coherent text, actually. And in here in this part, as you may see, you can see three different colors or numbers. The number 1, for instance, comes from one resource, number 3 and number 8. And so you see that what I have said, right? That within the text, you have parts of information, and then comes the remix. And it is also almost like the mosaic type, but the difference here is that sometimes they do present pieces of information. Yeah, they present pieces of information, but what they do is that you can find three things at least. One is that you can find copy paste information. The second is that they can provide just opinions, just like mixed information between some information and the other information, or even paraphrased information. So, and here you see, and here in the example you see, as you may see, that the writer is using a piece of information, piece of information, just copy paste information, right? But but the other part of the text, he's trying to paraphrase, just give a little bit of opinion also, but just kind of mix. Yeah, he's just trying to mix the things. And then you have the find and replace type. Well, um, it happens when you have parts of the text that you're trying to replace, uh, and the words that you usually use to replace are synonyms. In this case, very, very, very clear traditionally, historically, and taking of words, he says or she says, as taking texts, figures, but he's using in this part images. So this one is the original one, and this one is the one that we are trying to show. Okay, in this part also you can see the same thing as you may see find and replace. In this part there's no citation, but as you may see how he's changing, right? The original text says non-indigenous people, but in this part is saying not native people. Yeah, and the last type of plagiarism is verbatim. In verbatim is when you're usually doing your work, your document, and then you go, let's say for instance, you go to YouTube and then you see you need to know about biology, let's say, and then here you may see that the speaker is saying something, and then you find, this part where you get the written information, and then you listen to this information, then you take, and in your assignment you put like that, and you don't make any reference, any acknowledgement, you don't do that. And the last part is how to prevent plagiarism. In this part, I think that the main thing that we should be aware of is to get education, to get the proper training in order to avoid plagiarism. And within the training, I think that to get to know how to properly paraphrase is important. I think that we do have a lot of resources, and we should know how to paraphrase. In other words, we have to know how to use our own words in order to express thoughts or ideas from other people. You know, I think that is important. The second thing is that we should know clearly, or maybe we should use those guidelines which have to do with this the citing styles. How to properly cite, for instance, MLA or APA. So if we know how to cite in text and how to put reference, then we're not going to commit plagiarism. And the last one is to get to use technological tools. Nowadays we do have softwares or checkers that help us to know how much percent we do have in a text of plagiarism. And they also give you even the resources from where the author is taking information. So that is very important, because the software is going to give you a lot of data related to how much similarity this document is being with other documents. So that is important also. And I think that that is very valuable tool in order to prevent the plagiarism that you might be doing or not. All the references, and I would like to thank you for everything.